so there's two different types of accounts. So for all the instructors that are here, your account's gonna look a little different than this. This is kind of what the coaches, members, any other clients of Tribe, this is what their account will look like. And based on what type of membership they have, they're gonna have a different ability to be able to book different events. So for all of your players, they are all TBSA members. So once they all have an account in Upper Hand, which I sent a message out to everybody yesterday, once they all have an account, then I will add them as a member. So I actually have to invite them to become a member for them to then have access to the member-only events in here, which is the cage rentals for members. So kind of what they were talking about, we are gonna ask that members also book their rentals through here, because obviously if we have a whole bunch of teams, we don't want people to drive out here if they're a member thinking that there's an opening and there's actually team rentals all night and there is no space available. So this will give them an idea of kind of what is available, when can I come in and practice on my own. So the way that when they sign in, you'll go up to the browse events. And so I just created a kind of coach's account for myself. This is not typically how mine looks. This is how your guys's will look. And I gave myself access to the TBSA team rentals as well as the member-only rentals, and then any outside rentals as well. So there are a lot of options. It can look kind of overwhelming at first, but you can filter. And so for you guys, this is really what's going to be the way that you can kind of filter through all these and what you're looking for. You're going to be pretty much only using this for your TBSA team practices here. So I'm going to take this off and go down to TBSA team practice. I don't know why that is happening. It says I'm offline.
Yeah, it's disconnected down at the bottom,
okay,
where it says the world.
What hotspot were you on?
I don't know. Which one do you guys have to get up to?
Probably weren't, yeah.
Well, I'll pull it up to begin with. I gotta get, oh, something's that, no?
Okay, it's not even showing anything.
Down 10%, better pick it up.
Off of that, that sign's going on. Might as well stop it.
Hmm.
Gotta go back here.
Okay, now it's showing it. All right, I think we're good. Okay. All right, so once you guys click on the TBSA team practice, this is all the options that you'll have. So you can book in 30-minute increments and an hour increment. If you want to do a 2-hour practice, you would book 2 1-hour increments in here. The reason that we broke it down like that, just did 1 hour and 30 minutes, because we just didn't want to add so many options. So if we did like 2 hours for everything, there'd be like 5 more events on there for you guys to choose from. That just gets a little overwhelming. So I try to keep it as simple as possible. So again, if you want to do 2 hours, you just need to book these twice. Like you'd have to book this 1 hour bullpen 2 times for you to get that 2-hour time slot. Most of you guys are going to be obviously doing cage rentals. You may do a bullpen, obviously. You can always add that. So if I want to add, let's say 1 hour cage rental. And again, this is just the half cage, if this is just the 35-foot cage. So if you wanted like a full thing, if you wanted 2 of them, you'd have to book 2 of those to get both of those cages. So this is just going to be the one, and it's the 35-foot. So when these all have the dividers, there will be 6. And so that's how it's broken down in here, is there's 6 cages. And that's how it, you'll book.
Yeah, guys, that's for now. Like last place, basically had 3 cages. You could divide it one. Now, like in your heads, it's 6 cages.
6
You have to
cages,
utilize all the space for the older kids or any softball, I guess, and baseball. You want to do live pitching? Think about that. Book the whole thing. If you're only gonna do live pitching for 15 minutes at the end, only book that at the end. Don't take up all the space. I recommend just using when you book. I'd take like take that whole cage for your team, if you want 2 cages, and then at the end you can just be like, okay, move the divider out of the way and use it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, easiest.
Yeah. And I did set it up where the bullpen, I did have just one lane, because let's say, you only have one pitcher pitching at a time, and there's another team in here and they need to use the other lane, then they can book the other lane. You obviously can book both, but we just set it up this way so that you could have 2 different pitchers from 2 different teams pitching, if you had 2 teams in here at once. So what you would do then is you push on book. It's gonna take, so it has my profile that comes up. It'll be your name, obviously, when you see it. You have unlimited sessions in here. So every coach has unlimited sessions. So you're not gonna have like a limit on how many times or how many sessions that you book. So then you'll go to schedule sessions, and this is where you'll see the calendar. So you'll be able to look and see, this is for December. You can see all these openings. So anything that has a blue means it's open, and you can click on it. So if I want to do Wednesday, December 2nd, I can go here, and now I can see all the time slots that are available. We have them in 15-minute increments. So if you needed to start at 1:15, you could do that. We set it up that way too because for the TBSA member rentals, we have those in 15-minute increments. Because a lot of times when individuals are coming here, they're gonna hit for 15 minutes, they're gonna go pitch for 15, they're gonna do fielding for 15. They're not typically hitting for the full hour. So we wanted to give people the option to book just 15-minute increments if they wanted to do that for the members. So that's why it's kind of broken down this way. So if I choose the time, let's say 2:15, I then go to book, and now I'm booked. And it will show down here when my time is. So I booked 1 hour, so it doesn't say like 2:15 to 3:15, but you did book an hour. So it would start at 2:15 and then it would go to 3:15. And it does also send you an email confirmation. So if you are unsure and you don't have access to your account at that time, you can go back in your emails and see, okay, yeah, I booked it this time on this day.
It says at the top right there, so you,
Yeah,
1 hour cages on.
yep, 1 hour, yep.
Just so you can confirm.
And so you can keep doing this. So after I book that one, let's say I want to book Friday, and I want to book 10:30. Booked it there, and it showed up here. So when you log into your account, you're going to be able to see all of those practices that you scheduled in there and all the times, and it's that simple. I mean, so you could literally, like tonight even, you could go home and you can put them all in for the next 3 months, and you could see them all listed right here. If you have to cancel, you can just push the X, remove booking, and you would push submit. Now that canceled my practice. And that's gonna send Scott and John, that's gonna send them an email notification saying also that they canceled.
Does that sync to your own calendar as well?
It doesn't, unfortunately, but there is an app, so I would highly recommend everybody, including the parents, to download the app. Not that you can't access it like on a browser on your phone, but it doesn't work as well. Like the app works really well. And it would kind of serve as like almost like a Google Calendar. Like that's kind of what it looks like when you download the app. And you can book from your app too. So that'll make it a little easier.
Is there a master calendar where you can see what is not available, what is available?
There
Red, black,
is
green, whatever.
There is a calendar. I don't know though if in your guys' view that you would be able to see that. Let me go back to the home page and see like the dashboard.
Once something's booked for that time, though, will it remove that slot
Yes.
out of there?
Yes.
So it won't even be
It's
available.
gonna show only the
Yeah.
available times.
Yes. So when you go to that calendar and you go to book the times, it will tell you whether or not. I mean,
Like
it
tea
will
time.
not have the option for you to
Online.
book that time.
These instructions apply equally for parents
Right.
who are trying to come in and use a cage with
Right.
their kids.
Correct.
So they can go and use the same walkthrough, the
Yep.
same mechanics.
Yep.
Whatever's available is gonna show, what's not available won't show.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And so for like the cage rentals, there's 6 cages, and the way that we have it set up is that there's 6 resources basically that are attached to that event. So it's going to go in order. So if you booked 2 1-hour cages, that's going to book you at cage 1 and cage 2. And then it's going to go, then whatever available in that time slot will be cage 3, cage 4, cage 5, cage 6. And so it's going to go down in order in that way. That's how we'll book it. And so that way, it's not going to obviously book it out for that whole time. Like it's going to be like there'll still be resources available for another team to book at that time slot with the remaining resources that are available.
Or is 1 and 2 in the same 70-foot structure and then three and four?
I don't know, Scott, is that,
If not, we can.
we can rearrange the resources in there, so if it's not like 1 and 2 are on the same cage, we can then rearrange it so that it goes in order of what that cage would be in. So if it's 1 and 5, we could have those back to back, so you would be booking them simultaneously. Okay, and then the infield rental, that's like really the only difference, I guess, of space that you guys didn't have at the last place. And so obviously there's only one person, one team that can book that at once, because there's only one resource for that. So just kind of keep that in mind, kind of what you guys were saying, being conscious of that.
Can they see what team has booked? Maybe
No.
the infield there? No.
No.
Mhm.
I think they do that for privacy reasons, like they don't, Yeah.
I would say use our group me. Like
yeah.
if you're hoping to get some work in there, use our group me and say, hey guys, didn't know who was on this time. Didn't know what you had planned, or if you're using the whole thing. If you think you're only gonna be on a side or a half, whatever it might be. Just communication. I mean, I know this ain't a perfect system, but
Yeah.
just send a message out to each other, and hopefully they'll see it and respond, and then you can work together on it.
I mean, we were gonna split it and call it 2, but I think it's too much to try to do that, so.
So if I go to book something and someone's already has it booked, it won't be available, right? You don't
Correct.
see it?
Correct.
You see that it's not available.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's not a perfect system. You guys will find that. There's gonna be like a learning curve. I feel like you guys are gonna get this a lot better probably than the parents are at first, because you listen to the presentation. A lot of people have a hard time, I think, reading direction. So you're gonna have a lot of questions, most likely. So, and when I implemented this a few years ago, there was a huge learning curve. And the system itself has gotten a lot better since when I first got it. So it is a lot more user friendly than it used to be. But there's always obviously going to be glitches. I think the biggest hurdle you guys are probably going to have is the parents actually setting up their accounts. And I think this is something that I noticed was an issue, is what we did when I moved like the Buck Fast Pitch kind of my directory over into their system, and we basically merged our lists because I brought over a lot of my kids. So we just merged the 2 lists. Well, what happened was when we merged the lists, for whatever reason, the player profiles did not come with the parent profiles. Like they just didn't get migrated over for whatever reason. So I have all my parent profiles, which there's like 800 of them. And a lot of those kids are on your teams. So the parents are like, oh, I already have an account, which they do. They have an account, but they don't have a player account under their parent account because it just didn't get migrated over. They did create one at one time, but it's been years since they've done that. So that's why if you like know parents that say, oh, like I have an account, make sure they have a player account under theirs, because what happens is we need those players all to be listed in there so that we can have them as members, because they're going to be booking their times under the player's name, not the parent's name, if that makes sense.
Can we see who has done that? From a coaching standpoint, can we log in and see who has created their accounts for our players and who hasn't?
You know, and that would be a question for you, John, if you wouldn't mind like people like logging
Do
in
it
as the
for-
admin, because the admin can see that. You guys would not be able to see that from your accounts.
The follow-up question is, can we see how many times little Jimmy has
Yeah.
been in here getting his reps in?
Yeah,
Over
you
little
could,
Tom?
but again, it would have to be from the admin account. Like you're the only one that has access.
Well, I just have to, if you want that, I'll send it to you.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
send him anything.
Yeah,
Not him, I would.
Yeah, did you send an email to the parents yet?
I did not send an email out to parents. No.
I know we've spoke to ours. So in like with Lila and Ivy, they're on the same team. Elle's got to log in. Lila's got to log in. Both of you. Do we need to get Ivy signed up as well then?
Yeah. So if Ivy doesn't have a login,
Well,
she would
okay.
need an account. And there's and I did send out that link yesterday, you guys, that shows how to create profiles.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows you how to add. It's really simple, but you can just add a profile to your current profile. So when parents log in, they just add a profile under theirs.
The link that was on GroupMe,
Mm-hmm.
I may have jumped the gun on this, if I did, tell me. I sent it out to our team via text, said, here's the link, create your account. This is the only way you're gonna be able to get into the facility to make sure you got a space and so we can track you. So I did it, I created one for me. And then when you go on there, you have to actually buy credits, right? To get,
No.
No.
So it's because if you just created an account,
yeah,
I haven't added you as a member yet.
okay, got it.
So that's why, like, eventually, like, I'm gonna need Like I will probably need you guys to sit, like once you know everybody's done yours, like created an account, then I will go back in and add all those people. So I'll go back, I have everyone's rosters. So once you say, hey, all my players' accounts are done, then I'll go in and manually add all of them as members, and then you're gonna be able to add all that. I can add you tonight. Make sure you're on there. But that's why you can't see these like member-only events.
Yeah, but what I told him to do was just get the pay later option, and
No, yeah, tell them not to go
So
through
his,
that.
so all of our
No,
players
no,
will
not yet.
be, all of our players will be entered in as TBSA members,
Yeah,
correct?
yes.
So they have, nothing costs anything.
Right. Yeah, but currently
Other than,
they're
like,
not
cancer
listed
clinics
as
might-
members, so yeah, they're only gonna see the paid events.
So telling them to go to
Yeah.
our website and click on that link's the best thing for them.
Yeah, for all your students, yes. Like have them all create an
our
account.
players.
And your players, yeah. Have them create the account. Again, some of them may have already created one. So make sure, and that's another thing too, is like I don't know if it overrides the current account. So that's been an issue I've had in the past where people forgot they created an account and then they created like 2 more. And then now we have 3 accounts in there and it's a pain because I have to go in and archive them all.
Because of what we went through with it.
It does.
Yeah.
I can't
You- do you have
tell
multiple?
you- No, I made
Oh.
one back in 4 years ago.
Okay.
At your place. My name was on it, you added me as a coach.
Yeah.
And it brought Lakin's over with me and she's under there also.
That's
Oh,
how
perfect.
Lila and Elle. That's how they're under our here.
Good.
It'll bring them over.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, that's good then that you won't have to then. I was worried about people creating multiple accounts, but it sounds like that
Then
won't.
do I need a coach's account?
You already have one.
But the coaches and the lessons account is what we were asking.
So I have added you're a staff member, but also are a coach as like a member,
So it's the same login, do my practices.
Yep.
Okay.
and your lessons. Yeah.
Is that going to be the same thing for me? Because I'm both an instructor and a player. So is that going to be?
Yeah. But you are staff,
Okay.
so you'll have access to more than what the players would have access to.
Okay.
And I will show. I'm probably just gonna show the instructors like after you guys are done. I'll probably just show you guys individually because yours is gonna look a little different and it's set up a little bit different. So I don't want to like waste everybody else's time like showing them all of that because it's not really applicable to them. So when you guys log in though, this is
It
what it will look
disconnected.
like.
It disconnected again.
So right, your dashboard, you're gonna see your team practices down here. So right when you log in, like it's gonna be right here on the home page. You'll be able to see all your upcoming events here. And then we do have them set up for 24-hour cancellations. And obviously you guys are not paying for these rentals, but we are asking like if you do need to cancel, like try to do it within 24 hours. Because again, it sends them a notification that there's an opening, and then we can send out a marketing email to our database and say, hey, we had an opening tonight, and maybe a TBSA team wants to take it, or we have an outside team that wants it. So it just helps us be able to fill this space and make sure there's no empty space this winter.
With the attendee thing, if you have the coach at a practice and all the people are lined up underneath said coach, will it kind of filter into like my application as well, or any of our parents? Like if they log in, will they see they have practice at Sunday? Do you know if that?
I think we can maybe create. I've never done it.
Yeah.
But I think we might be able to actually create teams
Mm-hmm.
within Upper Hand and actually list your rosters
Right.
under each coach, and then it's possible that it might show up on theirs. But I've never done it before, so I can look into that.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
And
Like
with
a
that,
one-stop
if
shop.
we're able to do that, well, you probably don't know. I was hoping then the coaches would be able to send out like an email to their team or messages to
Yeah.
their team.
Right.
One
I know
thing,
we can to hold different groups.
yeah, one thing we for sure can do is we can segment all of the audience like in the database, and we can segment them all by teams, so you can send out targeted communications. The only thing about that is I don't know if they would be able to do it as a coach, like the admins can. And I'm wondering if maybe it would be beneficial for us to add the coaches as staff instead of just as coaches, because they would have a little bit more access. I don't know about the messaging access though, so I'll have to check on that to see if they would be able to message.
I don't think it would hurt anything, right?
Yeah, I think it'd be better if they could be staff because they would have a little bit more access to things, and then maybe you wouldn't have to send them as much if they can just access it on their own. So I'll look into that. And so you guys might be getting a request, like an invite from me to become a staff member, and then that's just going to grant you a little bit more access to the different events that are on there. And eventually, once you guys all like have the time to get all your practices in, then we are gonna put the links to the cage rentals on the website for outside teams to rent. So people can actually go straight to the TVSA website and they'll be able to click on buttons for whatever cage they're looking to book, and it will take them to upper hand to actually book directly online rather than having to call or email to book a cage. So if you guys know any outside organizations, obviously that are looking to rent, you can direct them straight to the TVSA website to book directly on there. But that probably won't be for another week or so until the coaches have some time to get their practices in.
And that's credit card booking, right? On the
Yeah, so
outside.
I think what we had talked about is if they're just wanting to book, let's say one practice, one rental, then they can pay with 3 different payment methods. But if they're looking to book multiple rentals like all winter long, let's say like 2 or 3 months, they would have to book that with a credit card, just to hold that spot, because we don't. And this is just from my own experience. Like whenever I would do team rentals, a lot of the time what would happen, people would book 4 or 5 months out. And then they would just decide they weren't going to come for 2 months and just like cancel at the last minute. And it just became really difficult to keep up with. So once I started kind of having people hold it with a credit card, they definitely were a lot more accountable to sticking to those practice times. So
And you can book with the credit card right on
yeah,
Brand.
right on here. Yep, super simple. And so yeah, instead obviously like when you guys saw it, it was free, but obviously for somebody outside the organization, they would see a purchase now button and they would be able to go through the credit card process or choose like a pay later option, which would allow them to pay with cash or a check.